Hello, I'm Peter and welcome to an episode of Crushing Comics Haul Around the World. I have a haul of comic books here from the United States that I ordered in March. They've actually been here for quite a while, but I have not unwrapped them yet. I took them out of their box, so I don't have any American air to huff, but it was 16 pounds of comics. And number 8, it says 8 books, although boy does this seem like more than 8 books. Let's take a look and see if I can remember why I ordered them. So as we know, I really love the Epic line. They're actually just off camera here. This Wolverine Epic Blood Debt covers a nice hunk of late in Wolverine series. Wolverine ran to 180 issues from the series that began, well, 180 and change, from the series that began in 1988, and it ran through pretty much all of the other X-Men titles, eventually relaunching or being renamed or something, with the exception of Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. And you know, off the top of my head, I can't tell you if this one does or does not cover material that had been collected elsewhere. I will point out, though, which I think is a weird choice, it actually has Wolverine Origin in it, which upholds the fact that Marvel is treating these collections as like everything that happened within a period, regardless of if it entirely fits into the continuity of that period, because it's crazy to me that an Epic collection would include Wolverine Origin, because it was released at that time, but it didn't go with his series at all. It doesn't go with the continuity of that period at all. But Marvel included it here, which I think is a good thing for the Epic collections, because the whole point of the line is like, this will be a comprehensive collection of what it would have been like to follow this character. Of course, they have not actually nailed that in all of their different Epic lines. Some of the lines have skipped some issues and stories, so it's like a little bit inconsistent, but I'm happy to see them follow through here in this Wolverine Epic Blood Debt. So then there's this pair of very interesting collections, named in the worst possible way. X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold, Volume 0. Now, X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold are the titles of the two X-Men ongoing twice-monthly comic books that launched as part of Marvel's Resurrection in 2017, and that will soon be wrapping up, each with issue number 36. But these two titles have nothing to do with that. They are collecting two of the only remaining gaps left in Uncanny X-Men and in X-Men. In this case, Uncanny X-Men 351 to 359 in the X-Men Blue book, and in the X-Men Gold book, X-Men 1991, number 70 to 79. They both include some annuals and other things as well. So it's weird that they were marketed this way, and if you look at it, it's all about who's on the cover of the collection. So this has the first time the original X-Men had been all reunited on one team for a little while, which is why they can get away with calling it X-Men Blue, because X-Men Blue is the title that stars the original team. And then this X-Men Gold is a team that, although they're not actually on the cover, it is a team that included a lot of Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler and Storm, which are the current cast of the X-Men Gold book. So it's just marketing, but it's like weird because it doesn't really connect to the current stories at all, and there's never going to be a volume 1 that like actually comes after this, because the spine look actually lines up to the volume 1 of these Marvel Now books, which were released like 15 plus years, almost 20 years after the original run. So that's a little weird. And they're kind of epic quality. They've got this dull, slightly matte paper. It's thin, but it doesn't really have a lot of show through, and it takes color pretty well. So I'm happy to have them. I mean, I think fans refer to this as the Kelly and Siegel run, because the one is written by Steve Siegel and the other one is written by Joe Kelly, and it's very well regarded by longtime X-Men fans on the X-Men boards and discussion and stuff. A lot of people have been saying this would make a great omnibus, even if it pushed a little bit further after this. Now, Marvel is going back to omnibus some of that period, which I think is great, and they're recollecting it too. You know, Disney has this idea of the vault should reopen every 7 years, because that's when like a generation has aged enough that there's new people ready for your content that hasn't seen it. And we are seeing that play out with the Marvel reprint strategy, because they've announced a ton of new reprints that are reprinting things that are 8 years old. So it seems like right when they got to the cusp of that, they're putting them back together. So we're getting a Mutant Massacre omnibus that goes bigger and farther than the Fall of the Mutant Massacre OHC. We're also getting a new collection of Magneto Rogue Nation that has a lot more stuff in it. And we're getting a collection also of some things we haven't seen before like that. So I think it would have been nice to have it as an omnibus, because we all want that complete oversized X-Men shelf. It's kind of weird that they did it as trade paperbacks, in my opinion. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, let's take a break from X-Men. So this is Cyberforce Rebirth. They're rebirthing. Cyberforce has been through a lot of reboots. I really have a lot of affinity for those early Image properties. I have everything Cyberforce. I have every issue, I have every reboot, so I'm still buying them. It's not Silvestri art on the inside, and I guess since it's a rebirth, like, is it starting totally from scratch? it doesn't say, it says it's penned by fan favorite writer Brian Hill from the mind of creator Mark Silvestri. It says old enemies and allies resurfacing, so I don't know if it's a from scratch. Hopefully it continues from something else. And it's one of those things that, like, eventually I'm going to sit down and read all of Cyberforce. My schedule of books to read is crazy. I have, of course, a spreadsheet because I live, like, my whole life in spreadsheets. And it has a tally of how many books that I'm supposed to catch up on, and every week I put all the new books that I plan on reading that came out, and like how far behind I am on catching up on things in Marvel Unlimited and things that I have in collections. And right now it's like, to even be caught up to the books that I'm trying to read every week, I have to read 600 comic books, and to be caught up with like all of the things that I really want to be caught up on, which is not reading everything, it's just catching up on things I want to catch up. It's like 2,000 comic books, and that's not part of that list. So after I read 2,000 comic books, then I could read that Cyberforce book. And I've actually read already this year over 2,000 comic books. It's actually quite terrifying. So who knows? Could only be 6 months away. Here, wow, this is a huge epic collection. This has got to be one of the biggest ones. It's Avengers: The Collection Obsession. It's a book about me. It's gigantic. It's volume 21 of, gosh, you can't see that because of how bright it is in here. It's volume 21 of the Avengers Epic Collections. It's Avengers 334 to 344. Are we into the leather jacket era here? I think this is like just shy of when the Avengers Steve Epting was drawing it. Actually, Epting is the penciler towards the end here. Oh God, I love this era. White Vision, Hercules in the harness, Crystal, Cersei, Black Knight. Love it, love it, love it, love it. But this is like right before I think they got their leather jackets. I'm so excited to read this. I did not have all of these issues. I think I started subbing Avengers like around 350 because Starjammers were on the cover. So this is just shy of where my floppy collection started. And I love Steve Epting, so I'm really excited for that. Look, it's a whole second package. Okay, so we have 2 Marvel Masterworks here. Marvel Masterworks 2-in-1, Volume 3. So this title confused me for a long, long time, and I can explain it to you now because I know everything there is to know about Marvel. So Marvel, in the 70s, Anthologies series did really well, as did Team-Up series. Like, it was enough because people were just buying from like a newsstand or a spinner rack, so you didn't need to like tempt people with an ongoing story. All they needed to know was Spider-Man. And that Spider-Man was maybe teaming up with some other cool-looking hero, maybe a hero they had heard about. And so not only did Spider-Man have Marvel Team-Up, which is like, why is it called Marvel Team-Up? It should be called Spider-Man Team-Up, but it was called Marvel Team-Up. And The Thing had Marvel 2-in-1. So it really was a Thing solo title. The Thing had ongoing storylines, and he was big. It's crazy to think about now. I feel like I talked about this when we did the John Byrne omnibus. The Thing was like the biggest character from the Fantastic Four, because it doesn't feel like that to me anyway, anymore. So this is the Thing team-up book, and this has him teaming up with Doc Savage, Thor, Iron Fist, Nick Fury, Deathlock, Submariner, Master of Kung Fu, Spider-Woman, and Nighthawk. And that Master of Kung Fu issue is why we're just getting this now, because in the ability to reprint those Shang-Chi omnibuses, Marvel also got the ability to go back and reprint his guest appearances as well if they were referring to Fu Manchu or other aspects of the Saxe-Rohmer estate elements of the property. So Marvel now is like really trying to press through any of those reprints from other books in addition to the stuff that got into the omnibus, because it was holding up some of these reprint lines for a long time. So that's some interesting facts for you. Marvel also just got back the reprint rights to Conan, and they were going to be issuing a Conan omnibus. So if there's any, every so often, I think in What If, Conan shows up in Marvel when they reprinted What If Classics, I believe skipped that issue, so we could be seeing some stuff like that come back too. But Conan very rarely crossed back over. So here's another one. This is obscure, but once I start a Masterworks line, like I can't give up. So this is Kazar. It's one of those things that I don't know. Volume 2. So this covers when he was in Astonishing Tales. And then he does actually graduate into his own title. So it has Astonishing Tales 17 through 20. And Kazar number 1 through 5. I do not know off the top of my head if there's enough for a volume 3 of this, but Kazar actually has a 34 issue, I'm going to say, series in the early 80s that has, Marvel weirdly just did like a 5-issue trade paperback. Like, hello, we have Epic collections now, just put it in 2 complete collections of Epic collections. That has never been reprinted. And it's actually we're getting to a point where there's really not a lot of big reprint gaps from the 70s forward in terms of Marvel, and I'm working on creating pages on Crushing Crisis that are like era by era chunks, so you can really see what all the titles were in that era and understand if they've been reprinted or not. not, because the stuff that's never been reprinted is getting really slim. And so by extension, the stuff that's not on Marvel Unlimited is also getting really slim. So the last one here I have is Abe Sapien. Volume 2. Dark Horse is really pumping out these Hellboy books this year. We went from only having the original BPRD 4 volumes to then having this flashbacky one, and now they've started the Hell on Earth line, and they've also started the Abe Sapien line. So who knows why Dark Horse is being so aggressive? Maybe because there's a new Hellboy movie in production, maybe because they've lost so many reprint rights recently. They lost Conan, we just mentioned, but also some of their other licensed properties that they'll no longer be reprinting. So who knows? Maybe that's why they're putting them out. Maybe it's just time. But these books are so nicely made, and talking about the list, I've never read any Hellboy. Isn't it? I mean, it is a sickness. It's a, what is it, collection obsession? I've literally read half of this one volume, this one library edition, and all this other stuff I'm just buying on faith that one day I'm going to sit down and read it on. Hopefully I'll like it, and if not, I bet I could sell them here in New Zealand, because how many copies could possibly be here in this country? So I don't have anything else to tell you about Abe Sapien. I don't know a darn thing. So that was my order of 8 books from the United States from March, and did you get any of those books? Did you just learn about any of those books from me today? Do you have recommendations of what I should start first in terms of those books? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So this has been a haul around the world here with Peter on Crushing Comics. Thank you so much for watching.